Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down a term that perfectly captures that emotional roller coaster of scrolling online, a little something called rage bait. It was even shortlisted for Oxford's Word of the Year, so you know it's a big deal.
Okay, let's kick this off with a little scene that probably feels way too familiar, right? You're just scrolling, minding your own business, maybe looking at some cute dog videos, and then, 2 swipes later, bam! Your jaw is clenched, your mood just nosedives. That feeling? That lightning-fast jump from awe to, "Are you serious?" Well, that's not an accident. Nope, it is 100% by design.
So what is this thing that hijacks our emotions? Well, Oxford University Press has an official definition now. They call it online content deliberately designed to elicit anger or outrage. Basically, it's stuff that's engineered, on purpose, to make you mad. And why? All for the sweet, sweet reward of clicks, comments, and shares. It's provocation with a purpose.
And listen, this isn't just some random slang people are throwing around on the internet. Get this, the use of the phrase rage bait has tripled in just the last 12 months. Tripled. That kind of explosion is exactly why we're talking about it today, and why it's graduated from just being a buzzword to an official word in the dictionary.
Okay, but to really understand what makes rage bait tick, we've got to pop the hood and look at the engine. Because this isn't just about some random person posting something angry online. Oh no, this is a carefully calculated, very profitable business model. It's a machine, and its fuel is our outrage.
You know, rage bait is basically the supercharged evolution of something we all know and, let's be honest, kind of hate, clickbait. But there's a key difference. See, clickbait just wanted to poke your curiosity enough to get a click. Rage bait, it's playing a whole different game. It takes negative emotions, anger, frustration, and weaponizes them. The goal isn't just a click, it's an interaction, a heated comment, an angry share, a full-blown debate in the replies. So, how does this whole pipeline actually work? How does your anger literally turn into someone else's paycheck? Well, it's a pretty slick 4-step process. Step 1, your anger keeps you glued to the screen, scrolling and scrolling. That means more ads, more money for the platform. Step 2, your angry reaction tells the algorithm, hey, this is juicy stuff, so it blasts that post out to even more people. Step 3, this kind of content is ridiculously cheap to make. I mean, sparking outrage is free, right? Actual well-researched content, not so much. And finally, step 4, that viral outrage can be cashed in directly by the creator, maybe through merch sales or even political donations.
All right, so here's the million-dollar question. If we know it's a trap, why on earth do we keep falling for it? Every single time. Well, the answer is kind of fascinating and a little unsettling. It's because our own brains are wired to walk right into it.
It all comes down to some really fundamental things about how we're built. First off, we have what's called a negativity bias. We are literally hardwired to pay way more attention to bad news than good news. It's an old survival instinct. But then it gets even trickier. When we express moral outrage online, our brain can release a little hit of dopamine. Yeah, that feel-good chemical. It feels good to be right. It also serves as a powerful signal to our tribe, showing everyone we're on the right team. And you top it all off with that nagging feeling that you just have to correct someone who is wrong on the internet, and boom, you've got the perfect recipe for getting hooked.
You know, the president of Oxford Languages, Caspar Grathwohl, really hit the nail on the head with this one. He described it as this vicious cycle. Our outrage sparks engagement, the algorithm sees that and amplifies it, which leads to, you guessed it, more outrage. And the end result for us? We're just left feeling mentally exhausted and completely drained.
So yeah, this is way bigger than just a few annoying posts on your feed. This whole cycle has real, actual costs. We're talking measurable consequences for our own mental health and for society as a whole. And it's interesting, you can almost see the story of our online lives playing out in the words that become popular. Remember brain rot? That term for feeling mentally drained from just endless, mindless scrolling? That was huge last year. Now we have rage bait, which feels like the next chapter. It's like we've gone from describing the symptom, brain rot, to naming one of the main diseases causing it. It's a perfect, if a little depressing, linguistic evolution.
And the fallout from this is no joke. We're talking real-world risks. There's the emotional whiplash from being constantly flooded with stress hormones. It messes with our sleep, our mood, everything. And that crazy polarization you see online, it doesn't just stay in the comments section. It spills over the dinner table into the office. Our collective trust in institutions, in each other, starts to erode because it's so hard to know what's real anymore. And over time, all of this adds up to serious psychological harm. And a word like rage bait doesn't just randomly appear in the dictionary. There's a whole process, a pathway to legitimacy. It starts out small, kind of bubbling up in a specific online community. Then it gets amplified. It just explodes across the internet. After a while, its meaning starts to stabilize. Everyone kind of agrees on what it means, and it enters general conversation. And only then, after all that, does it get officially codified or put into the dictionary. It's this whole journey from a niche slang term to a formally recognized part of our language.
Okay, so after all that, you might be thinking it's all just doom and gloom. But here's the good news, it's not. Once you actually understand the playbook, once you see the tricks being used, you can absolutely start to disarm it. You can take back control.
So step one is learning to spot the traps. You got to get good at recognizing the common tactics. We're talking about those insane over-the-top headlines, right? The ones designed to get a reaction, or those cherry-picked quotes or images that are totally stripped of context. Also, watch out for false balance, where they pretend two sides are equal when one is clearly just, not. And finally, remember the comment sections are often just minefields, deliberately planted with incendiary comments by bots or trolls whose only job is to fan the flames. All right, once you can spot it, the next step is to actively protect your own headspace. This is huge. Start by just paying attention to your body. Seriously, if you're scrolling and you notice your shoulders are tense or your jaw's clenched, that's your cue. Time to put the phone down. And be absolutely ruthless with that mute, block, and unfollow button. Curate your feed for your own sanity. And here's a big one. Before you fire off that angry reply, just wait. Give it 20 minutes. Go do something else. 9 times out of 10, the urge will pass. And maybe the most important thing of all, log off. Go touch some grass. Ground yourself in the real world.
But look, this isn't all on us. We can't be expected to fight this battle alone. The platforms and the people who make the rules have a massive responsibility here. I mean, just imagine for a second if the algorithms were tweaked to reward thoughtful, nuanced conversations instead of just pure raw engagement. What if platforms added a little more friction, like those prompts that say, hey, maybe read this before you share it? That alone could slow the spread of this stuff. At the end of the day, what we really need is way more transparency and accountability from these companies and for them to actually enforce their own rules consistently. And that really brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. It's a big one. The next time you're scrolling and you feel that hot flash of anger, that urge to jump into the fight, just take a second and ask yourself this. If outrage is the currency of the internet, who is really paying the price? Because when you look at the whole system, the whole machine we just broke down, the answer is almost always us.